I want to thank you for being patient this morning. We seem to have wonderful challenges on a regular basis, just so we can be better people, I guess. Not really sure why that happens. Do have to take care of one little matter before we get started with today's talk. Uh, with my engineer, okay, we got that little part straight. Wow, so much joy. Thank you all for who have hung in while we've gone through those difficulties. We had some technical difficulties last week, and we worked on solving them. And the reason that we had technical difficulties this week is because we were tested, I guess, to see if we really knew what we were doing in solving last week's problem. But we were able to take care of that. For those of you that are still with us, thank you so very much. Some of you will be able to come back and get this later on in the day or later on in the week, as it is being recorded properly this week. So you'll have the message that you were meant to have. Um, so with that in mind, let's just get started with today. Again, I want to thank everyone. And I want to let you know that regardless of what's happening, there is an infinite source that's available to everyone. It's there for each who seek it, no matter their race, gender, or religion. You can believe what you may, but you should know that the source of the universe is the source of each of us. Therefore, the source, the principles that are supporting the stars are supporting all of us. You say, well, really? It's supporting us, and that means it's available to us, but we must find our way to it. And know that as I declare this statement in the first person, I do declare it for all. I am open and receptive to this divine living principle. Father, Mother, God, I am grateful. This is my truth. This is my declaration. And as I accept it, so it becomes. And all is well and well indeed. Now, we've set this practical spiritual living concept up so we can really kind of exchange. But due to the difficulties that we had with our technical sound, we won't be able to exchange today, but I will pose the questions to you and you can ponder them yourself as we get to that particular section, because I won't be able to necessarily hear you. But you can hear me, and that's really important right now. This week we're talking about release, letting go of what no longer serves. Release, letting go of what no longer serves. Release, letting go of what no longer serves. So as I welcome you back to this practical spiritual living experience, I want to introduce myself again. I'm Reverend R. Ken. And in this space, this is a space that we've carved out to share, to grow, and to become more in tune with the divine possibilities that already exist. They open to us as we open to them. We call this a Beyond Walls space, a Beyond Walls ministry, and it is named Unity of Chicago South, an online New Thought spiritual community that we welcome you to. We stream live every week from Chicago. Now, as I mentioned earlier, several people reached out and said they weren't able to see last week one of this series, and I want to let you know that week will be put back up. We're going to pre-record it and put it up. It'll be just like this week in the sense that the questions will be asked, but we won't get a chance to interchange, and we hope that we anticipate that issue will be solved in the coming week. But week one was about seeing, was about seeing what's going on, seeing, looking. That's what week one was about. And as we see it, as we become aware of it, it changes our lives. It begins the process of change. And where we start is that we just simply start learning how to see, to notice how we are thinking, how we react, and how patterns begin to shape in our experience. And see, once that happens, once something is seen, something very important begins to occur. We're then given a choice. A choice to continue as we have been, or to begin to change. And that brings us to today's focus: release. Release. Because awareness or seeing shows us the pattern, but release is what allows us to move. Release is what allows us to move. Let's begin today with just a few guiding ideas. The great work is letting go of all that does not belong to your true self. Emma Curtis Hopkins, the teacher in New Thought. Your true self, the spiritual self, that which was you before you even had a personality. That which was you at the beginning of your conception, that will always be you. In the book of Isaiah, we read, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I'm doing a new thing." Holding on is believing that there's only a past. Letting go is knowing that there's a future. And that's from psychotherapist Miss Kima. So we have been given some steps to kind of focus on what it means to release, why it's important to release. These different voices express a shared understanding. And that is, something new cannot fully emerge while we're still holding tightly to the old. Something new cannot emerge as we're holding tightly to the past. And yet, we have to understand, letting go is not always easy. And it's not because we don't understand the need, but because what we hold on to has become familiar. We hold on to ways of thinking, ways of reacting, old interpretation identities that we've carried. And even when they no longer serve us, they still feel like we know them and they know us. Release is often misunderstood. Sometimes we think that it means something that it doesn't. See, we think it means forcing something away, get away, or denying what happened to us in the past, the pain, the trouble, the tribulation, or pretending that something doesn't matter. I'm hurt, but it don't bother me. I was raised with that understanding. It doesn't matter. But see, release is none of that. It's none of those things at all. When we understand release properly, we know that release begins with recognition. Recognition that something no longer aligns, no longer supports, no longer reflects who we are becoming. See, we're working to become. We haven't arrived yet. Sometimes we think we've arrived, and we say, yeah, but I'm here now, so all of that should not be there. But we're still becoming. We'll always be becoming. Let's go back to that line from Isaiah. Do not dwell on the past. I am doing a new thing. That new thing is not waiting somewhere in the future, not waiting for a later heaven to appear. It begins when we stop dwelling and allowing the heaven that is to become our right now experience. When we stop forcing the heaven that is not to be our experience. No, it's going to be later on. It's got to be later. The good comes later after the suffering. And let's understand something. Dwelling, when we say we dwell in the past, it's not about just remembering the past. Let's understand that. Dwelling is not just about remembering the past. And maybe that will allow us to clarify a little bit of the challenge of this release process. Because dwelling is not just remembering the past, dwelling is mentally living in an unchangeable state of consciousness of what has already happened. An unchangeable state of consciousness of what has already happened. We cannot change the past. Nowhere in scripture does it talk about the source, the divine God, being able to change the past. So if that is the case, then why would we think we could? So it is not just dwelling in the past, it's living in the past. But we can fix that. See, by allowing the right now heaven to express, we can ask that so important question about the past. Does this still belong with me? Does this pain still belong with me? Does this hurt still belong with me? Does this experience still belong with me? That idea from Isaiah is powerful. Do not dwell on the past. I am doing a new thing. That new thing doesn't require force. We don't have to force it. It requires something else. It requires space. And we create that space by releasing. As we release something, we create more space, right? Think about a glass. As you pour the water out, turn the glass back over, you now have a glass ready for more water. But it couldn't take any more water, no matter how good the water was. Fresh spring water, delicious water. But until you dump the water that was in there, let it go, release it, you can't put the fresh water in. See, we cannot fully move forward into this heaven on earth experience while mentally living in the past. It doesn't work that way. Think about this. Think about this in real life. Playing a conversation, holding on to how someone treated you, defining yourself by something that happened years and years and years ago, reacting to present moments through past experiences. Oh, yeah, I know about this because this happened before. That's not just memory, that's attachment. Not just memory, that's being attached. And what attachment does, attachment creates repetition. And that subconscious mind of ours, that quiet mind that guides us, that beats our heart, that opens our and closes our eyelids without us even knowing it. That subconscious, by repeating it and repeating it, this past experience, it says, you know, I guess you want to relive that again because you keep repeating it. You see, I don't do it until you repeat it. You were born with certain connections to source energy that allows your heart to beat and your blood to flow. But if you want to create if you want to create a personality, you have to convince me, subconscious, that this is what you really want. And you only convince me by repeating it. So you telling me you don't want to live the past, but you keep on thinking the past. You keep on bringing it up. You keep on dwelling in it. I believe you really want to live it because I can't discern between what you say you want and what you keep thinking about. I deal with the repetition. You see, when we get back to our awareness, the awareness allows us to see the pattern. And once we see the pattern, we can process into, move into, progress into, as I should say, the step of releasing, because the release loosens our grip on the patterns that we no longer want in our lives, or we no longer feel that serve our lives. We no longer feel that they should be a part of this life right now. I just don't think that pain, I didn't say it didn't hurt. I don't think that mistake, I don't think that negative thing that I did, I don't think that should be a part of this life right here. And I make that decision. See, a pattern you notice how long you held on to it. And then you released it. What happened in your life? You noticed the pattern. You said, dang, I've been thinking that for the longest. I don't want that anymore. I don't like that anymore. I don't do that anymore. And when you released it, did you notice how it left? It left room for something different to come forward. You say, well, something different. See, so it doesn't always have to be new. It could be just laying in the cut, so to speak, waiting to come forth, but it couldn't come forth because there wasn't any room. So it doesn't have to be something brand new. It could be something that has always been there that just needs some space, some room. It needs something to be released so it can come forward into your life. Release doesn't always happen at once. Know that. Sometimes it begins with just a quiet moment of truth. This no longer serves me. I'm not evaluating it. I'm not giving it a yay or a nay. I'm not criticizing it. I'm not judging it. I'm merely saying that in this place at this time, this idea, this thought, this feeling no longer serves me. And when I say that, when you say that, when we say that, that powerful, powerful moment puts us in a position to allow that right now having experience that's always been there to move a little closer to expression in our lives. See, many of us, not all of us, but many of us, I might be one of those two, try to move forward while still holding on tightly to what's behind us. My daughter gave me a CD. So you know that was a time ago to get CD, right? And it was an Erykah Badu CD, and on the CD it had a song called Bag Lady. I believe that's how it went. And like the lady in that song, many of us carry past conversation, past hurts, past definitions of ourselves that somebody else might have gave us, or we might have defined ourselves. And we try to bring that in our current life, into our current life bag. And then we wonder why the present feels so heavy. Why right now feels so heavy? Well, we're dragging this stuff with us. We got this grip on it, and we say, you got to come with me because, see, once I was, once I did. So you got to come with me because society says that if you did this, you always this. You know, sometimes we get into these talks and then an inspiration will come. Part of this country, the United States of America, part of its problem is that it won't release the past. It lives in a past that people of my color were subservient to people of another color. And in the minds of those people, they can't release that no longer exists, never did, wasn't true, ever, ever, ever. And so we find ourselves bombing schools because they won't release an untruth. Never was. Never was. And the reason for it in many cases is there's a feeling by some that release is about, I'm going to lose my value if I release this lie. But that's not the case. The release is about something that no longer is necessary. It's no longer needed. You can get out there and pick the cotton yourself. It's okay. Maya Angelou wrote, you may not control all the events that happen to you. There's some tragedies that happen in our lives that I don't know how this happened. I don't know why it happened. But she says that you can decide not to be reduced by them. Release is that decision. Not to be reduced by what already has happened. See, part of what we do here at this practical spiritual living place is to offer a space and a time to reflect and to share. And as I mentioned to you earlier, because of some of the technical difficulties that made it difficult for us to get here on time, on all the platforms that we serve, we have a time where we can share, we can reflect. But we know because of a technical difficulty that sharing and reflecting right now is a little difficult. You can hear me, but I'm not able to hear you. Make it very simple, to break it down, as they say. So I'm going to move forward with it, but I'm just going to pose a few statements to you, a few opportunities to reflect to you that you can hold on to yourself. Hold them yourself. You can bring them in and you can write them down even and think about them later. And the beauty is if you are on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube or Instagram or any of the other platforms, you wouldn't be able to ask anyway. You would have to join us on our team platform. But if you are on those platforms and you would like to enter a comment, one of our services will kind of grab them all together and present them to us, and we'll respond to them at a later date, a later time, if you'd like. So just for a moment, reflect quietly, silently together First reflection I would like to share with you is, what is something, some thought, some belief, or some pattern you've been aware of that you may feel no longer serves you? Let's just pause right there. Something that you kind of know no longer serves you. That's all we're doing is just, is it a pattern? We're not talking about releasing. Is there a pattern that I can recognize that no longer serves me? Hmm. Today's second reflection. Why do you think it can be difficult to let go even when you know, even when you know something isn't helping you? Hmm. Why do you think it's so difficult? The repetition, it's a pattern. We hold it tightly. And what do you think might be possible if you truly, truly, truly worked and allowed it to be released? Did you hear me say worked and allowed it? Worked and allowed it. Because we can understand, we should understand. I'm going to share with you the fact that release is not a single moment. It's a practice. Release is not a single moment. It's a practice. It's the repetition of the practice of release that allows us to get into a release consciousness. And it's a challenge, right? Because it's moment by moment. It's choice by choice. But each time, we loosen our grip a little bit on that stuff we're holding on to, just a little bit. We open a little space. We create a little space, and that little release that right now heaven experience can squeeze into. And the more we work to release, the more it just comes forth, that experience, the one that we really want, the one that we know we really, really deserve. You see, as we do that, we are creating a space that something new can grow, can emerge. We become closer again to that heaven on earth experience. That new thing we heard earlier does not come from force. We can't push it. I'm tired of it. Oh, we get so tired of some of that old stuff, don't we? But it comes from the availability of the space that we create by releasing. So our job, as Emma Curtis Hopkins said, our job is to get to our true self, and our true self is that Christ self, is that spiritual self, is that source self, is that seed self that was there before we manifested. And getting to that self, we get there by releasing some of the stuff that we've laid on, that society has laid on us. But our job is to release it. See, that's our hardest job, our hardest work, to make the space available for the new to come. I'm going to leave you today with a question that is not for today to be answered. It's not for, it's not like those reflections. This is something that you can allow to express in your life this week. Just allow it. Whenever you can think about it, just ask yourself, why am I ready to release what no longer serves me and make space for something new? Why am I ready to release that which no longer serves me and make space for something new? And leave it. Well, I got an answer. I know why I want, just leave it. Let it rest. And every time you get a chance, think of it, just ask yourself again, why am I ready to release what no longer serves me and make space for something new? Why am I ready? That's making the space for the new to come forth without the force, without the pushing. We should know that awareness allows us to see, but release allows us to move. Hmm. And in that movement, something new begins. And next week, we explore what happens when we begin to see differently through something we call reframing. And I do have a small housekeeping note for some of you out there. I have a new pamphlet called Response Instead of React. And we plan to have that on the unityocs.org site sometime this week. That's unityocs.org. I'll say it one more time, unityocs, all one word, .org. And you go over there and you'll be able to find the pamphlet. It's free. Doesn't require anything. Just download it. Um, but I don't know exactly what day that'll be up. I'm not sure what day that's going to be up. And if you'd like an alert about the day, or if you'd like to receive weekly reminders and keep up with our activities, you may text the word connect. You may text the word connect to 564-234-2890. Again, that's 564-234-2890. And regular text charges, whatever they may be for you, apply. I want to thank you so much for being here and for being willing to do this work. And on behalf of the Unity of Chicago South Spiritual Community, we wish that you have a marvelous week. May the right now heaven that is be your right now experience. This is Reverend R. Ken saying, Namaste.